Hey, welcome to the Philosophy Podcast. I am your host, Controversy, and to my right, ladies and gentlemen, my co-host, none other than Mr.
Crazy Darren Love!
And together, we are the Philosophy Podcast. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome back to a brand new episode. And thank you for coming back once again this week for new content. And without further ado, what is on the agenda for today, mate? What is this week's hot topic?
I'll take these off now. I'm only wearing them for that.
Time to get serious.
I brought them today.
Yeah.
I brought them for you.
Oh, thank you very much, mate. I try them. Might as well try them on and see, you know what I mean? See what's going on.
Can you imagine wearing them out?
Oh, I would definitely wear these out for a laugh, mate, because I know it would definitely make a few people laugh and it'll probably make their day, you know what I mean? And I don't mind taking the piss out myself too, if you see what I mean, having it, you know, just for a laugh too, you know, because who cares? Life is short, you know, have fun, you know what I mean?
They look good on you, actually.
Yeah. I feel like a rock star actually wearing these here, mate. All I need now is, you know what I mean, a nice leather, you know, nice leathers and
When
shit.
you laugh, they do. You know, can you imagine wearing them out, like into the shopping market?
Well, it'd be good fun, mate. I think we should do like a social experiment type shit and wear them around the shops.
So
and
funny.
you can wear them into Morrison's and I'll wear them into them Marks and Spencer's.
You look like a king, honestly. They look like they're made of gold, that's the thing.
Yeah.
But I thought today we'll talk about relationships.
And then every time we see someone, we go, "Good morning, ladies and gentlemen."
Yeah. But I thought we'd talk about relationships today.
So today, ladies and
We're
gentlemen,
talk about relationships.
we are talking about
Relationships.
relationships. Right. Yeah.
I thought it's an interesting subject, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely.
Something
So yeah,
that-
mate, what are we saying with these relationships then?
Just something that you got to be.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I've been in relationships most of my life, you know.
Mm.
And, I think the best relationship you can have is with yourself.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Yeah.
That's what I thought about anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you've got to look after yourself first, haven't you?
Well,
You gotta be centered within yourself, and you gotta be balanced and on point yourself in order to look after everyone else. We say it all the time, but you have to be. Look after yourself. Otherwise, how the hell can you look after everyone else and do everything else that you've got to do? Like, you know, if you live a very busy kind of life like I do, you've got a very busy routine, very busy schedule, work, family, kids, etc. Everything else that goes along, you know, outside of all that as well. It's, you know, you've got to be on point. You know, you've got to try and make sure you get some rest when you can. You know, try and make sure you're staying hydrated. Make sure you're eating well and looking after yourself. You know, etc. You know, it's lots
Not
of
just that, though,
you know.
I don't think. I think it's like getting on with yourself.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
every day.
Yeah.
You know, some people moan, don't they? You know, like they don't get on with themselves. I don't think.
Yeah.
You know.
Well. Yeah.
You know, or you know, like.
Unhappy with life.
Well, I think you got to learn to live alone in life. You know. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah.
And you've got to learn to really, basically, to have a relationship with yourself.
Oh, you do.
I think.
You do have to have a relationship with yourself. You've got to know yourself.
Yeah. And I think number one, you've got to end up, you know.
Because there's a lot of people walking around, mate. They don't know themselves. They don't even know who they are. They don't know. They never sit down and think about what makes them happy. You know, what they're passionate about, what they like to do, what fulfills them in life, you know, where do they see themselves in 10 years or whatever the case may be. A lot of people don't ask themselves these very important questions, you know. You have to, like I said, you have to have a relationship with yourself. You need to be able to sit down and do, like we were talking about last time, self-reflection. You have to be able to reflect on your actions, your words, your everything, your calculate, your moves in terms of like your work and your business or whatever else that's going on, and you know, etc. You know, you have to, you know.
But I think number one is, you know, like in life, I think if you can have a relationship with yourself, you can have a good relationship with other people as well.
Yeah.
And there's different types of relationships, isn't there? Like, you know, a relationship with your mum is different to one with your girlfriend.
Oh, definitely,
Or-
many different types of relationships.
Or
Definitely.
different with your children, you know,
Of course.
and so on and so on. But, you know, like I've been through a number of relationships, you know, as I've said before, you know, and I kind of feel like quite experienced really, you know, being with, well, I wasn't married for 13 years, I was married for 8 years, but I was with this woman for 13 years, you know. So it's quite a long relationship, isn't it? Then I've had a few other long relationships before that, whatever, and afterwards, you know. And like I'm really sort of glad to be on my own today.
Yeah.
You know, just have a relationship on my own.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I feel like I wouldn't like to live life completely alone and never got married and not had a relationship. Do you see what I mean? And still a virgin basically today. You know, I wouldn't want that. You know, it'd be a bit sad, I think.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, you know.
Yeah. Life is about experiences, you know.
It is. It is, you know, so I'm glad that, you know, I feel like I can live alone today, to be honest with you, know, because I've had lots of relationships in my past. You know, so I feel like I'm quite happy to be like a teenager again, you know. You know, because like when you're a teenager, you're sort of like, well, not necessarily, because I did have girlfriends at that age, you know, but really you don't get married at that age, do you? Or anything like that. You don't get serious, do you? You don't have a baby, do you?
Well, some people do, mate, if they're not.
Well, I don't think, like,
If they're not cautious.
I'll be honest, I think I first started having sex when I was about 15, you know. But I'm talking about before that, you know, sex, you know, you don't even know it, do you? Do you know what I mean? I didn't know it existed.
Well, I was going to say, I grew up very differently, so unfortunately, from a very young age, like even primary school, people were talking about sex in primary school. And you only leave primary school at 11, and I'm talking about before that, before age 11. I remember being in the boys' toilets in primary school, let's say for example, all of us, you know, going out to lunch, whatever, going to the toilet, whatever, talking about, I remember other boys around me talking about girls and sex and shit like that. And I remember being like 9, 10 years old, and for the first time being that age, hearing about it, thinking, you know, oh, well, you know, what are they talking about? What they're going on about, kind of thing. Yeah, but by age, I was going to say, for me, the first time that I started becoming sexually active, I would say was probably about 13, if you see what I mean. 13, 14.
I think I was quite early actually, like 7 actually, when I realised that girls were different, you know what I mean? And I started kind of feeling quite attracted to them, you know, wanting a girlfriend in a funny way, do you know what I mean? But,
yeah,
you know, I didn't know, you know, no sex existed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, that comes later on, doesn't it? You think, wow, you know, you sort of realise there's a purpose in life in a funny way, you know.
Well, I think it's that thing of it's just a part of life, isn't it? It's just growth, you know. You know, as you get older, and you become a man and or a woman, and you mature. You know, your hormones start to kick in, and it becomes a natural desire. If you see what I mean.
It takes over, doesn't it?
It does. It becomes a natural desire. People, because everyone has hormones, you know. Obviously, some more than others, of course. Sometimes people have to have like hormone treatments and therapies or whatever, but we won't go on about that. But there are some people out there that, you know, have to. But generally speaking, most people hormones kick in when they get, you know, young teenage years, you know, and obviously continue to kick in and grow and become, you know, become more as you know, as both men and women get older. And then by the time you get to a certain age, it's almost like you get you have that desire to, you know.
Well, you become capable, isn't it? That's the word, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I can remember sort of when I become capable, whatever, you know, of having sex in a funny way, you know, and it's a new world, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, and I can remember sort of at that age, you know, being quite young.
Yeah.
Loving it, you know, sex in a funny way, you know, and it's sort of like very powerful when you're young, isn't it? In a funny way, you know, it kind of takes over everything.
Yeah.
You know, you can't, like, you know, I was doing music, you know, like when I was 15, you know, and into sort of learning about music, you know, and doing a bit of electronics and things, you know. And then suddenly I sort of, like, when I was 15, I wanted a girlfriend, you know what I mean? And then, you know, you're having a bit of a relationship, you know.
And things
then
change.
you have the first time I ever slept with a woman, you know, how that felt.
Well, you remember all those things too.
Yeah.
Like, not all of them per se, but you remember like first time you kissed a girl, Like, you know, you might remember, you might not remember all the ones after that, but it's, you remember, like you said, that the first.
Oh, I definitely remember when I first slept with a girl for the first time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I didn't have sex with that girl, right? Because we were only 14.
Mm.
But I just sort of like could sleep with her all night, and I was conscious of it all, you know, like, and I can remember sort of like feeling her body, if you know what I mean, and you know, how soft it felt compared, you know, and it's just beautiful in a funny way. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
And you kind of remember those times.
Yeah.
You know, I won't forget it.
Yeah.
You know, but like I say, you know, like if I didn't have that sex drive coming suddenly into me, you know, like it's like a power thing. You know, I would have carried. I think I would have learned how to play the piano today. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
If that, you know, if my sex drive didn't get away, if you see what I mean, you know, if it didn't overpower me, overpower my thoughts in a funny way, you know, because you know, like at that age, it's like a magnet, isn't it? You sort of want sex, you know, and so does a young girl. Do you know what I mean? You're like, whoa. You know, it doesn't take long, does it, when you're young to get in bed, does it? In a funny way. You know, you don't think about it. That's a funny thing, do you? You don't think about it then. You know, and when you're a bit older, you start thinking about it. That's a funny thing, isn't it?
Well, not only that, but you become introduced to more stuff as you get older too, because usually when you're young, like even with me, with my kids, I restrict what my kids are able to see and they're exposed to. You know, obviously when they go to school and they're growing up, obviously they're going to be exposed to other things and, you know, other children and, you know, everything else at school and etc. But I try to restrict them as much as possible. So like when you get to a certain age, generally you start becoming more exposed to more stuff, more explicit graphic type stuff, whether it be music or video games or movies or sexual type stuff as well, which is usually included in a lot of movies and music and music today as well. In some cases, like some music videos,
So
you watch some music videos today, and they're highly provocative. If you see what I mean, they're most, you know, you're not saying that.
I think everyone do get exploited.
Sex sells, doesn't it?
We get exploited at an early age. I think. You know? I think I did. Do you know what I mean? You know, because I think when I was younger, there was films about, right, and I saw naked women and things. You know, do you know what I mean? And I got aroused by it. Yeah. You know, I must admit, you know, I've been open. You know, do you know what I mean? And I think you know, I think it's a little bit. You know, I think it should be exposed like it is in a funny way. You know. Yeah. I think it's a secret thing, sex. You know.
Well, yeah, I think people don't treat it the way it should be treated, especially like today. I think people don't realise that like sex is like you're saying, like it's kind of a sacred thing as well too. Like when you're having sex with someone, obviously you're exchanging energy. You know, that's what sex means: sexual energy exchange. So you've got to be careful. Oh, sorry, mate. You've got to be careful who you're exchanging energy with and shit. You know what I mean? Because you know. You know, it's great. You know, sometimes people end up with soul ties, and you know, end up, you know, especially women. Let's say, for example, because especially if let's say a woman's on the pill, say for example, yeah, and she's having unprotected sex with a few different people, yeah. So she's single, but she's got a few friends who she has sex with. Let's say, you know, I mean, a few men she's attracted to. She has sex with them occasionally. She's having unprotected sex with these men. And because she's on the pill, she's allowing these men to ejaculate in her. Over time, they're leaving their DNA in that woman. And say it's 2 or 3 different men that are sleeping with her at a time, and they're all doing the same kind of thing because she's on the pill and she trusts them, and they're going, you know, without condom or whatever, and they're having, you know, and every time they ejaculate into her, they're leaving their DNA, a small part of their DNA within her. So a woman's DNA slowly over time can change or alter through the amount of different sexual partners that she has that ejaculate into her, if you see what I mean. If she has, you know what I mean, over, you know, because that's just what happens, you know, it's...
I mean, you notice, like, some people in relationships that have been together for quite a while, for many years, they start looking like each other.
And that's part of it too.
Yeah,
that's part of it. That's a big
'cause
part of it too.
The more they have sex, the more they start looking like each other, I believe, you know.
Especially if they're couples that have been together for a long time, for a while, like 15, 20 years plus. They do, like you said. Especially, usually by that time as well, especially if a woman's, let's say, in her 50s and not able to have children anymore, but she's still very sexually active with her husband, you know, and they're having sex because obviously they've been married for a long time, unprotected sex, she can't have children anymore, and he, they have sex together on, and he ejaculates in her every time he does. Like I said, it's leaving a small part of his DNA within her, you know.
You don't think about it, do you?
But yeah, people don't think about these things.
Well, you don't think about it when you're younger, really.
Especially when you're young,
you know.
That's why sometimes people have soul ties and shit with people. Sometimes people have like, you've got to be careful the energies that you're exchanging with people, because I'm one of these people that, like, if you really do like research into it, right, they say that if you have sex with someone and afterwards you feel drained, that usually means that that person's got like a negative or low vibrational kind of spirit kind of thing, on like a lower frequency than you. They say that when after you have sex, you should feel like energized and rejuvenated and strong and etc. But afterwards, if you feel like completely like zapped, like completely zero energy, they say that that person usually is someone that had, basically stolen your energy from you, per se, that's why you have to be careful, who you choose to have as your partners in life,
I think I had sex over 200,000 times with my ex-wife, especially at first, it wasn't very good, at the end of the last year we wouldn't have much sex at all.
Yeah.
But first year we met, we were sort of sex every day.
Sex mad.
Yeah, it was too, so I wish it, like, now going back, I wish I had kind of a better control on it all in a funny way, do you know what I mean?
Where?
I kind of it takes time to learn about having a relationship, there's a lot of different things to think about, sex is one of them.
Well, it depends on the dynamic of the relationship as well too, because there's a big difference between being in the early stages of being boyfriend and girlfriend and having an early relationship and being married.
Yeah.
With a family and kids and shit like that. So there's different dynamics to different relationships. Like when you first start off with someone, you're getting to know each other or whatever, that's one dynamic of relationship. It's kind of an easygoing phase where, especially if you're both attracted to each other and the chemistry's there, there's, you're both kind of lovey-dovey and it's all, it's kind of like paradise bliss and like a honeymoon almost kind of thing, And then, let's say 6 months into the relationship and you're starting to get a bit more serious, saying, okay, should we consider moving in with each other and taking it to the next step? And then 6 months later after that, you've lived with each other for a year, for 6 months and then, or whatever, and then you say, okay, should we get engaged, So the different dynamics of the relationship changes because it starts to become more serious, if you see what I mean. And the more serious it becomes, then more responsibility is required and more is needed and required from both parties, if you see what I mean, in a relationship, if you see what I mean, because it's getting more serious and
especially
it's
when
changing.
You're pregnant.
Yeah, exactly.
When a baby
comes into the equation. Yeah.
To me, a baby is more than a ring. Let's put it that way. More than a marriage. It's blood, isn't it? It's a spiritual tie.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely. Like say a relationship. When I first met my ex-wife, we just fell in love, right? And we just wanted to live with each other. We just couldn't help it. You just can't help it, can you? It's quite strange, and it's like the chemistry around you that's pulling you together. Like it's talking. Your chemicals are talking without you even talking in a funny way. You just, do you know what I mean?
And sometimes, as we know too, sometimes women have pheromones. Talking about hormones and shit, women have pheromones, and sometimes when they're ovulating or they're, going through, whatever the case may be, even sometimes during their periods, if you see what I mean, because you might notice that a woman might be very extremely horny just before her period comes on, and sometimes just after as well. Because just before her period comes, that all those hormones are starting to if you see what I mean, starting to kick in. If you see me, like a couple of days before her period comes on, sometimes women get super horny. Or just after their period's finished, they get, you know, maybe it's because the hormones is, you know. And sometimes, yeah, like I was saying with pheromones, sometimes women give off those pheromones, unbeknownst to us men, we are, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
We are falling into the trap.
There's also smells involved in everything, do you know what I mean? But we're not aware of it all, you know. The chemicals are kind of working, actually, you know, communicating without you saying a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, my ex-wife was deaf completely, you know.
Yeah.
So she couldn't hear what I said, do you know what I mean? So, you know, it is something to do with, I fancied her, for one, you know, I'm highly attracted to her. And because I'm highly attracted to her, I think she quite likes that, you know, and that's how it kind of works, in a funny way, you know. And there's a lot of chemistry involved, like I said, that we're unaware of. That's working as well.
That's in play.
Yeah. So I think my ex-wife started look like me after a while, you know, because, you know, like, yeah.
Well, it
happens together so long.
But it does happen, mate. It does happen. People don't think about it, but when you actually like sit down and like either like research it or just break it down like in a common sense, logical way, you just think to yourself, it makes sense because it's our DNA. It's our life force. It's a man's life force, as we know, because it's obviously, you know, you can produce children, of course. You know, 2 of you. You know, so when you're giving her your life force, mate, you're giving her your DNA, everything, because it's just like, obviously, when if you say your woman's highly fertile and you have sex tonight and she gets pregnant, you know, it's both of your DNA.
Yeah.
That's combined to make that one DNA. You know, 2 combined to make the one. You know, so it's
So there's many types of relationships, isn't there? You know.
Yeah, like you said earlier, there's a big difference between how you relationship between your significant, you know, between like me and my wife, or between me and my kids, or between me and my mum, or between me and my sisters, or my work colleagues, you know, professionally or whatever. There's many different friends, you know. You know, so it's you know, there's many different types of relationships and different dynamics.
But I think like the hardest relationship really is not so much with your mother; it's with who you have a relationship, who you marry, whatever, you know. I think that's more difficult because there's lots more things involved. I think, you know, like for instance, you know, sex. You know, that's one, isn't it? Like we were talking about just now. But there's other things, isn't there? You know, with your wife, you know, there's certain things. The relationship's completely different.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
You know, to one that you have with your parents, say, or whatever.
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
You know, or with your friends. You know, it's just.
We all play different roles, don't we?
Yeah.
In a way, we all play different roles. You know, we all put on a different. You know, like when you go to work, you put on one role, your professional role, your, you know, making sure you're on time and, you know, polite and respectful and doing your job to the best of your ability, you know, and, you know, being professional, etc. And then, like you said, you know, you come and you leave work and go and see one of your friends, and that's a completely, you switch off all your work mode and you see your friend, you relax and see your friends, and you know, in that moment you know who you are, you know. And then, like, it's the same, you know, it changes, like, you know, go home and see your wife, you know, now I'm a husband, you know, going back to my wife, you know, so that's different, you know.
Yeah, I think, like, with a, you know, if you have a if I had a relationship with a woman, it's a lot different, you know, because you do fun things together, don't you? More, you know, more private things, I think, you know.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But I think it's just about understanding the different roles that we all play within our lives and within society. And once you understand that, you just, you know, you get a grasp on that, then you understand it, if you see what I mean, you know. Yeah, we've all got different roles to play, and it's about trying to master each one, you know. And it takes time, and it takes understanding and patience and hard work sometimes as well, persistence, you know, because it's not always easy. When, as we know, relationships, you know, depending on the relationship, it's not always easy, you know. And that's why we said again, all relationships have different dynamics, because like me and my like let's say me and my friends, me and my mate, we always get along. Let's say for example, but we we never argue. We just we're mates, we're good mates, whatever. We never have anything to we might agree to disagree on something once in a blue moon, very seldomly, but once in a blue moon. But that's all it is. But it's like I might go home now, say for example, and I love my wife too, of course, but me and my wife might get in an argument.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean, because it's a different relationship dynamic. We might start talking about something. She might get upset about something, and it might lead to an argument, and then it's
I mean, you share your finance with her a little bit, don't you? A little bit.
Of course.
You live with her.
Of course. Yeah.
But not with me.
Yeah.
That's another difference, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. It's all relationship dynamic, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. And understanding that, sometimes people. It's like, okay, you don't want to take your personal life into your professional life if you can help it. It does happen occasionally where people's personal life spills over into their...
All the time.
Because of their health. Sometimes it's health related. Or sometimes people are having marital problems and they bring their issues to work.
I would say all the time.
A lot, yeah, you think a lot.
Yeah, a lot of people, yeah.
But yeah, it does...
A lot of people don't know how to sort of keep themselves.
Well, I think sometimes people don't know how to separate the two, It's like even sometimes people that I work with, sometimes they might come to work and tell me about their relationship problems and whatever the case, whatever they're going through or whatever. And don't get me wrong, it's nice that they feel that they can confide in me and talk to me in that kind of way, ask, just for advice or just someone to talk to kind of thing. But I'm not that type, if you see what I mean. I'm definitely not that type. I'm not the type to tell him my work colleagues and shit, all my personal information, about my marriage or
That's
kids.
Right, because the thing is, if you do that, right?
Because it's,
The thing is, if you...
People just gossip and talk
If you talk, the thing is, if you talk, and you're talking to someone that likes talking,
yeah,
right? And you tell them all your stuff, whatever, what's happened in the day or what, but maybe about sex life even, yeah? So you're talking to someone at work, whatever, the next minute, right, or next day, they're talking to someone else about you.
Yeah.
Repeating it, you see.
And when you go to work...
And everyone knows.
Yeah, everyone knows.
In the whole factory, whatever, all the...
Or wherever you work.
Wherever you work,
Wherever you work.
It's best to keep yourself to yourself.
That's it, and confide in the people that you can really trust, the ones that will, zip it up, like when you talk to them, and you do choose to confide in them, it's not going to go any further whatsoever than you and that person.
Yeah, because I think we all need someone to talk to sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah.
And then when people are going to work every day, day after day, they feel like they're the only people to talk to at work,
Yeah.
But I'd say no, don't do that, don't. You just keep yourself to yourself, I think, personally.
Yeah.
People are a little bit, to me, I think, like say they love talking. A lot of people do, don't they?